All right, hello everyone. It's Thor Sandalwood, and I'm going to be using some new software today. To let me check. Let me actually get something else up right now. I'm going to be using some new software to see if we can actually see the charts, and I can display the charts with the reading. So today we're going to be looking at Kamala Harris's chart specifically. I know a lot of people have been thinking about, is Joe Biden going to be kind of a temporary president? Because we already knew kind of going into this thing that Biden was, he was having some issues. He's older than most people. And so a lot of us, hello, hey everybody. He's older, obviously, so we kind of wonder, is he going to finish out the term? Is he going to be okay? And there's been a few instances where things have slipped. Like there was a time where Kamala Harris's husband introduced, what was it? She introduced Kamala Harris as, this will be your next president, to some sort of meeting that they were having. And then there was also the fact that the Biden administration changed the name from Biden administration to Biden-Harris administration. So probably a lot of you guys are familiar with that. That's the first time that there's been a presidential administration that's changed it to both the president and the VP as an administration title. Okay. So I'm trying to get used to this new setup because there's a little bit of a delay here. Anyways, before I start the reading, guys, and before we start really looking at the chart, I want to remind you guys, if you like this kind of stuff, if you like astrology, specifically Vedic astrology, and you're interested in politicians' charts being read or celebrity charts being read, that you like my channel, or you like the video and you subscribe to my channel so you guys can get more of my content. And please share it with your friends. Also, if this is something you're interested in and you would like to get your own private reading, you can always email me at thor.sandalwood@gmail.com. And I can send you information on how we go about doing a reading. And that's an MP3 reading that I usually return to you in about 7 days. So it's a pretty quick turnaround. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at Kamala Harris's chart. And we're going to transition over to this. Actually, I think I keep pronouncing her name wrong. It's Kamala. So sometimes I accidentally say Kamala. And here's the chart here, guys. And I'm going to click around so I can actually do a stylus on it. Let's see. There's the chart there. And the first thing that you guys notice right away is that we got, the first thing about Kamala is that she's a Gemini ascendant. So Geminis tend to be very chatty people, very intellectual type people. I'm switching back for a second. But Geminis tend to be very mercurial, like Mercury. So they're very witty. They're very chatty. They tend to be the life of the party. So probably she's probably good at playing politics, going to the cocktail party and mingling with people and having all types of conversations with various people. So the next thing we want to look at, and I'm transitioning back here because this is a main thing. This is the main focus of her chart right here. As if you guys notice, Rahu there in the first house. And so this is like really huge right here. And this will even go into what kind of Mahadasha and Dasha that she's in right now. And if you guys remember, Rahu is the planet. Rahu's not even a planet. See, Rahu's a karmic node, and he's the karmic node of desire. And so in the ancient Vedic astrology, Rahu is considered sort of like a demon. So it's this past life desire that we have from over many lifetimes, where there's some sort of compulsions or obsessions that we have because our soul has not enough experience in that type of environment. So if we look at Kamala, she has Rahu in the first house. So that means that she's really here to develop her own personal identity. So she's very, very focused on herself. And what's interesting, guys, is of course the polar opposite of Rahu being in the first house would be Ketu in the 7th house right here. So that's going to be right here your karmic axis right here. Everybody has a Rahu and Ketu, so we just have to get used to that. We all have compulsions, desires, obsessions. It's not just, Kamala that has them. So the thing about Rahu being in the first house is Rahu in the first house can tend to make somebody very self-absorbed. So she's very, very, can actually make somebody even kind of narcissistic in a lot of ways. So definitely because Ketu's in the 7th house, and Ketu is what we experienced in past lives, Ketu tends to be the things that we're not attached to. So with Kamala Harris, Ketu in the 7th house means that she would be rather unattached to her husband. He's not that important. And what happens with a lot of these people is, and I'll show the chart again, guys. What happens with a lot of people that have Ketu in the 7th house is that typically a lot of times their marriages do usually end in divorce at some point because they're so unattached to their partner. But also the partner always ends up being unfulfilled because because they don't really get any attention. So they're attention starved because Ketu's always looking for Rahu. But remember, the legend was that Ketu and Rahu were the single kind of like serpent, and then Vishnu threw his discus and cut him in half. So Ketu's the tail and Rahu's the head. And so the tail, Ketu's always wanting to rejoin up with Rahu, but Rahu's not interested in the tail, Ketu. So that's the issue there. If you guys have questions about the chart, by the way, please just ask the questions in the chat. So anyway, so we're looking at the chart kind of in a general way right now. So the Rahu thing can definitely make somebody totally obsessed with politics and trying to move up in the world. She probably, when she went to school, when she was a child, she probably was the one that wanted to be the center of attention in the class. Maybe she wanted to be the smartest or the brightest or the person that won the spelling bee. That's typically what Rahu in the first house people are like. So the issue with Rahu is Rahu can make somebody very deceptive. It can make somebody like a chameleon. So if she goes into a certain environment and she sees a certain thing that's going on, she can be a chameleon and kind of adapt to that environment and put up a smoke screen or project whatever face that she wants to project onto the world. Now let's go to the next thing, because we're kind of, so we know the Rahu thing's a big deal. And the next thing we're going to look at, guys, is you see the second house of Cancer here. And you know, guys, what second house usually represents is your family. It also can represent things like, surprisingly, like your teeth, your speech. But typically it represents your family of origin. So with Mars being in the second house, it could represent in some ways that she's a little bit at war with the family of origin, because Mars in the second house does tend to do that. But Mars in the second house can also second house also represents saved money, the savings that you guys have. So it could also represent that she's actually really good at making money as well. And it can actually be very beneficial for her. Mars in the second house can also mean that she shouts at people. when she's mad. So this might not be something that the public sees, but she can definitely get mad and shout at people. If we take a look at some of the signs that Mars is aspecting, and if you guys remember in Vedic astrology, the four houses from Mars, so if you count, 1, 2, 3, and 4, this is going to be aspected by Mars. And then we can go 5, 6, 7. We're going to have Capricorn aspected by Mars, 7th house. And then we're also going to have the 9th house aspected by Mars. And we may have to clean up this thing, guys. So we got 4th, 8th, the 4th and the 8th aspects. So these aspects, the 4th and the 8th, are typically the most intense aspects from Mars. So usually Mars to the 5th house, Mars aspect to the 5th house can create issues with fertility and things like that. But remember, 5th house is the house of politics. So the 5th house can make Kamala very competitive within politics. And she's vice president. So, I mean, that shows you how much of a politician she is. If we go back to the chart here, we see that Mercury's there and the Sun is there. Again, she has Mars in the 2nd house, which is speech. Then she has Mars aspecting Mercury right here, which can also create aggressive speech. Okay, so aggressive speech. If she wants to, she can shout, and she will be very, very aggressive about her speech. And I might actually clean up that chart a little bit in a minute because it's getting drawing all over it. Also, one more thing, guys, is this author aspect to the Sun here can cause issues with the father. Because remember, in someone's chart, the Sun always represents your father. So that could be arguments with the father or different various issues with the father. The other thing that we can look at, guys, is... Sorry, let me put that back. That 4th aspect of Mars is on the 9th house, guys, if you look. And guess what 9th house is? 9th house also represents the father. So it's just... So she must have had, according to this chart, she must have had a lot of issues with her father. Because she's also got Saturn in the 9th house, which is also obstacles, constant problems with the father. Burdensome. I would like to read more of Kamala's backstory because I don't know, but there's so much family dynamics going on in this chart that show a lot of problems with the father. There's also different problems with the mother going on in the chart, and I can show you guys there. Is if you guys look at Saturn here, Saturn in the 9th, that's the problems with the father. But if you count 3 houses, we got 1, 2, and 3. Saturn's aspect is right here, and that's one of the stronger aspects. Oops. Let me redraw that. Saturn's aspect there to the moon. The moon represents mother. So right there, that's also issues with the mother as well. And guys, I'm going to clean up that chart a little bit because we're getting a little bit, let's see. It's weird how much you can draw on these charts, isn't it? So the next thing, so the problems with the family, definitely there. But it also says that with the moon there in the 11th house, oops, let's see. It also could show that the mother was a little bit more socially involved because with politics and stuff. So she might have got a lot of her politics from her mother. Because 11 is politics, political rallies. It can be highest aspirations, things like that. All right. So the thing, so that was just like a little, just kind of like a little overview of her chart, but there's a lot more going on. But we also want to see, like, will she become president, the next president, right? So the next thing I want to show you guys, so we see that she has Rahu in the first house, which can obviously give her that that energy, that compulsion to try to move up in politics as much as possible. And Mars gives her that aggressive speech and so forth. But we got to really look at what Mahadasha and Bhukti Kamala is in currently. So let's take a look at that. All right. And if you guys can see, her current Bhukti right now is going to be Rahu Mercury. That she started back July 2020. So we know that that was actually, we can already tell, just if we look at reality and how it unfolded, was this Rahu Mercury Bhukti. This Mercury Bhukti has been very good for her. After this, I think she was announced the vice president somewhat late. It was August or September of 2020 when she was announced. But she got right in there. Mercury Bhukti started in July, and then literally 2 months later, she was announced as Biden's VP pick. So we know that this thing is really, really helping her move it along. Let's go back to the chart here. So when we're looking at a Mahadasha, we know she's in Rahu. And so there's that emphasis on the first house. And I've seen a lot of past presidential charts, guys. They have some sort of first house thing involved usually when they get elected as presidents. And so, anyways, so Rahu helps people politically a lot. Rahu can also kind of be, there could be a lot of conspiracies going on with Rahu going on right now. And then the next thing we want to look at, guys, so Rahu first house, we also want to look at Rahu's Lord. So Rahu's going to take on a lot of the attributes of Mercury there. But remember, Mercury is a very influenced planet. So Sun there Mercury's going to take on a lot of the attributes of the Sun there. And that's leadership, authority, power, and whatnot. And so Rahu is going to be kind of acting like this planetary pair in a lot of ways. So that's going to influence. And it's in the 5th house, which is a trine house, guys. And it's the house of politics. So it's not surprising that she's the vice president right now. All right. And then the next thing we want to look at is, so it's interesting because Rahu is acting like it's Lord Mercury, but then we're also in the Bhukti of Mercury. So if we want to look at Mercury here, Mercury's in the 5th house. Again, it's about politics, luck, fortune, that kind of stuff. And then Mercury rules the 4th house and the 1st house. So we got the homeland there, 4. 4th house is like homeland and things like that. And then we got the 1st house, identity, body, things like that. So I think if we look at Joe Biden's chart, we see that he's going to be entering his Saturn. He was in Jupiter Rahu, you guys remember, when he got elected. And that's pretty much what got him elected. Rahu got him elected. But he's going to be entering a completely new Mahadasha by September of 2022. So September 21st, 2022, Biden's going to be in a completely new Mahadasha. and he's going to be in Saturn Mahadasha. And this is going to be a complete karmic change for him. So there's the possibility I see of Biden somehow, he could, so there, in my mind, it's just a possibility. Doesn't mean that he won't finish his term. Of course not. It's a possibility that something could happen. It could be his health. Saturn rules old age and things like that. So there could be something that happens with that. He could drop out, even though people, it may not happen because we still have free will, but there's a possibility because that's a big karmic change I see happening. Now, if we go back to the other one, I see that Kamala has a, he will make it that long. I'm not sure. Like, I'm not going to predict. I don't think like I don't see the death house. I'm going to have to look at his chart. I don't think that the death houses are being activated for Joe Biden right now. And I don't think they are going to be with Saturn. But let me go switch over to this one. But you guys see that Kamala, by January of, if you guys look right here, by January of 2023, she's going to be entering K2. And K2, guys, is like, I tend to see that, and this is weird. This is going to be weird, but kind of more as a problem with things about her marriage happening there. So I feel like there's this like 3-year period here from July of 2020 to the beginning of 2023. To the beginning of 2023, where she could possibly become president. I see that she has a lot of karmic power behind her, a lot of planetary power. She's got Rahu, she's got Mercury. They're all like first house. Everything's emphasized on the first house, that rising, that ascendance. So she has a very high likelihood, if there is an issue with President Biden, that she could step right in and become the president. And Rahu usually represents that. She's in Rahu Mahadasha. It gives you some sort of like, usually it gives you some sort of chance out of nowhere. That something just pops up and boom, you're handed this huge thing and then you're in way over your head. That's the whole Rahu thing. So I think if it's going to happen, if she's going to become president, I believe it's going to be more likely in this period right here. Because I think the K2, it's still possible during K2. Because I actually went back and I saw that Jimmy Carter. I saw that Jimmy Carter was in K2 Mahadasha when he became president. But, you know, he was only a 4-year president. Maybe that had something to do with it as well. And so let's go back to that again. So I don't see, like when she enters this period right here, this could represent losses right here, actually. So that's where I see, and if I go look at the chart for a second, she enters that Rahu-Venus period at the beginning of 2024. That could be another opportunity, guys. But during that K2 period, there's actually kind of potential for some sort of conflict or divorce. It's possible there could be a divorce there. Definitely there could be a divorce. Who knows? It could be caused from all the stress of being in politics, things like that. But I do see, yeah, she's definitely, guys, in a Bhukti and a Mahadasha where she could become president, like right now for the next couple years. If you guys have any questions about what's going on, any questions, I'd take those questions in the chat. See if there's anything else that I can get out of the chart right now. Yeah, I see mainly more of the problems with the marriage when she enters that Rahu K2 period, guys. Man, I made lines all over those charts so much. So yeah, guys, that's kind of a little overview. So yeah, I think there's a very high potential of her somehow making it to the presidency, and it could be through some sort of weird situation, because that's what Rahu brings up in everybody's chart. Past that, we're just kind of looking at the immediate future, the next 2 to 3 years. So I'm not looking at like 10 years from now or 5 years from now per se. Well, I'd like if you guys have any questions, please ask. I was just seeing if there's any questions, guys. Other than that, guys, I think I'm gonna end the broadcast right now. So please, if you guys like the video, please like, subscribe to my channel. Please comment down below. What do you guys think? Do you think Kamala is gonna become the next president? Let me know, guys, down below.